church, shout the church, man. Louis now said, when I'm holding all the work, yeah. What you know about that? What you know about that? What you know about that? Hey, I know all about that. Loaded 4-4 on the low where the cheese at. Fresh out the jet to the jets where the cheese at. What you know about that? What you know about that? Hey, what you know about that? Hey, I know all about that. See me in your city pretty, know I'm shining, dog. Riding with a couple Latin bras and a China dog. Hey, you know how we ball. Right in the shiny car. Walk in designer mall. Like everything we saw. You know about me, dog. Don't talk about me, dog. And if you doubt me, dog, you better out me, dog. I'm throwed off slightly, bro. Don't wanna fight me, bro. I'm fast as lightning, bro. You better use your Nikes, bro. You know you don't like me, cuz your bitch most likely does. She see me on them dubs in front of every club. I be on drum buzz, gave every hoe a hug. Niggas don't show me mugs, cause you know I got a key by the 3 when I chirp, shout the church, man. Louis now said, when I'm holding all the work, yeah. What you know about that? What you know about that? What you know about that? Hey, I know all about that. Loaded 4-4 on the low where the cheese at. Fresh out the jet to the jets where the cheese at. What you know about that? What you know about that? Hey, what you know about that? Hey, I know all about that. Candy on the 6-4, leather guts and fishbowl. Victor on the pinky ring just to make my fist glow. Yeah, bitches get low because I get dough. So what, I'm rich, ho. I still a pull a kick, though. What you talking shit for? And gotta run and hit folk. How you were yelling, I thought you pull out a gun and hit folk. But you's a scary dude, believed by very few. Just keep it very cool, or we will bury you. See all that attitude's unnecessary, dude. Cause you never carry tools, he's not even sweary cute. You got these people fooled, who see you on the tube, but ever try to crew. They see you on I got a key by the 3 when I chirp, shout the church, man. Louis now said, when I'm holding all the work, yeah. What you know about that? What you know about that? What you know about that? Hey, I know all about that. Loaded 4-4 on the low where the cheese at. Your fresh out the jet to the jets where the cheese at. What you know about that? So what you know?
Christmas time is here.
Stop and make the block guy. Your label got cause you are not high. I got the top spot, and it will not stop. Video and not doubt, we bust it till the clock stop. Drag you out that Bentley coupe and take it to the chop shop. Partner, we not, y'all. If it may pop off, I'll answer the question, will I get your block knocked off? It what it is, bro. Look out, we kill, bro. I'm in your hood. If you a gangster, what you here for? Somebody better get, bro. Say you wanna squash it, what you still talking shit? I got a key by the 3 when I chirp, shout the church, man. Louis now said, when I'm holding all the work, yeah. What you know about that? What you know about that? What you know about that?
So I'm streaming to both Twitch and Meta CDN right now, and part of me is like, oh shit, I should take that down because I'm not doing games. But you wanna know what? Like, fuck it, man. Like, come at me, bro. If Twitch is gonna pull me, then that's fine. I stream Hearthstone and I also stream this. Like, yeah, I don't know. Whatever. I'm just gonna roll with it, and maybe you get my shit pulled and fucking whatever.
When they see me off in traffic, they say Jeezy on some other shit. Send them pussy niggas running straight back to the dealership. Me, I'm in my spaceship, that's right, I work for NASA. This like some super I put on for my city, on for my city. I put on for my city, on for my city. Put on east side, put on south side, put on west side, put on. I put on for my city, on for my city. I put on for my city, on for my city. Put on east side, put on south side, put on west side, put on. Let's go. Hat back, top back, ain't nothing but a young thug. HKs, AKs, I need to join a gun club. Big win.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, people are probably still arguing in the Tadpole chat room because we talked about guns on the morning stream. Guns. Oh, jeez, guns. Yeah, man. I'm sorry about that. That's not. I don't mean to start no problems. No, don't do that. No, don't do that. No. Yabs, is the Jury podcast going up in the Jury RSS? No. It's its own RSS, and it'll go up this week. I actually kind of wanted to give people a taste for it. I put it up on SoundCloud, but I want to kind of get a little push on this. I want to kind of like see if we can actually like chart a little bit, if we can chart it. So I wanted to kind of build up a little demand and then have everybody subscribe at once, as opposed to just kind of putting it out and let everybody flop around. So that was my evil plan when it came to that. Check. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Politics, 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 politics. Yes.
Cool. Wow, I am way loud. Check. 1, 2, 3. Once there was this boy who had a remembrance of shitty songs from the fucking 90s. Then he did a podcast about politics, which is the last thing that you want to talk about. Yeah, no, the last jury was a fucking train wreck, which was great. I loved it. I love train wrecks. I love that level of honesty of things being completely messy and really ridiculous. And I'm glad people liked it because I really enjoyed doing it. All right. Let me close this door because the sweet Prince Dr. Bird is yelling, and then we'll get ready to roll. All right. Teen Vec, even as a train wreck jury, the last one was better than like 75% of the Night Attack episodes. Well, I mean, that's why we do a lot of stuff, so everybody can enjoy things. That's not shots fired. I mean, I don't know, unless he meant to fire some shots. Okay, let's get ready to rumble. The Politics podcast is brought to you by The Contender, the presidential debate card game available now at thecontender.us. Sign up for our mailing list and get the full rundown of how we raised $142,000 on Kickstarter. Thecontender.us. Politics is also brought to you by Patreon. Patreon.com/jury is where you can support not only the show, but also my one mic show called Jury. Go to patreon.com/jury.
Politics, 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 politics.
Politics is this motherfucking podcast topic. Is that, oh shit, the music's over. Hi everybody, welcome to the Politics program. This is Justin Robert Young. I do the show. We talk about politics, the week that was, the week that will be, and everything in between. We've got some great news. We've got some sad news. We've got some poll numbers for a primary that is months away and yet still doesn't matter. And we have maybe my favorite political story of the year that comes from my home state, baby. Yeah, bitch. Florida flexing its Florida muscle this week in political news. We're going to get to that. But the theme of this week's show is, summer loving, moving so fast. But oh, those summer nights, they're done, baby. We're into fall. Pumpkin spice lattes are all around, and people are bringing out their cardigans. They're wearing Argyle socks, doing all sorts of fall shit, right? Picking apples, getting cider, confusing pumpkin for cinnamon. This is what happens in the fall. And unfortunately, the summer romances that really captivated this political season, I think, are revealing themselves for what they really were, which is just a torrid affair when the bikinis are out, the sunscreen's thick, and everybody's a little too drunk on Natty Light. Two elements of this have very much come into focus, and I don't think it's good news for anyone. This is bad news bears, everybody. Now, it's not for sure. But this is like your summer crush. You hooked up a couple times. Everybody went over to Greg's house, and Greg was like, "Hey, you should meet blank," and then you start hooking up with them. But it's going to be a problem because you go to different schools and you're not going to be there for a while, and you're like, "No, but for real, we'll totally just continue to talk to each other." Except no. The only thing that you guys have in common is Greg. Next thing you know, you're states away, and you follow each other on Facebook, but that's just it. A couple months later, you see that they've become in a relationship with somebody and you're heartbroken. Both sides of the aisle are feeling this right now. Let's start with the GOP. People are falling out of love with Trump. No, I know. People, this is like the most fun thing that's ever happened to politics, that Trump basically took his 30 years of preparing to run for president and then motherfucking actually ran for president and did Trump things. But he's on the decline, and his poll numbers in Iowa are slipping. And here's how you know that he's not serious. Here's how you know that although he's still leading, things are over. This is one of the, again, right now, the GOP base, those that are very, very frustrated with the status quo are, they're still friends with Trump on Facebook, but Trump's like sending him messages and, they're like, "Oh, okay, well, I'll be BRB." And he's like, "Wait, hold on. I see you're online. Can you just talk to me real quick?" All of a sudden, Trump's starting to call the disaffected electorate, and they're sending it right to voicemail. And here's really where things have fallen apart for Trump. It's the media. The media loved Trump because he's fucking amazing at doing media. He's really, 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 really good. He is a quote machine. He will be as honest as he can possibly be. And listen, Trump's a lot of things, but I don't think that there's a lot of shit that comes to his mind that he doesn't say. And I don't think that the things that he says are disingenuous. I think it's what people have kind of found appealing about him. But the media were very, very, very excited about Trump because A, he was new, B, he was exciting, and C, he would go back and forth with them. But now the media's kind of got bored of Trump. Trump's DMing the media and is like, hey, bro, you want to hang out? And the media's like, IDK, I'm kind of busy. How do we know that the media's lost interest in Trump? Well, because now you're kind of seeing the media attention for the other Republican frontrunners that you would have normally seen earlier in this process if Trump hadn't become the phenomenon that he did. I said on the Jury Show before we started this program, the Politics program, that the Trump phenomenon was actually good for frontrunners like Marco Rubio, Jeb Bush, and now, we've seen Carly Fiorina, Ben Carson, because he is blocking out the media sun. Media loves to go after frontrunners. They love the up and down. So when Trump is there, that means they're not paying as close attention to everything Jeb Bush says in a way that they did to, let's say, Mitt Romney in the last election cycle. There was no Trump for Mitt, and so therefore, Mitt had to just take the brunt of everything that the media wanted to find and pick him apart. Now, this is not necessarily that the media is a liberal machine kind of argument, although it is safe and true to say that most members of the media are liberal. Most. Not all. Most. It is to say that the media does love to deflate people, and they love to inflate them. And right now, what we're seeing this week is an example that people aren't paying attention to Trump, and they are starting to pay attention to everybody else because it looks like Trump is not going to be serious because his own poll numbers are deflating. Let's begin with Jeb Bush. This is the kind of attention that Jeb Bush was able to avoid when Trump was at his Trumpiness. So this shooting happens in Oregon. And I'm not going to get very much into this shooting. Just if you want to listen to me talk about the shooting, listen to the morning stream today. We talked about the shooting. But we're not, this is about political science and not necessarily about, the emotion of politics. Jeb says that stuff happens. Let's go ahead and see exactly, in his own words, what Jeb Bush said.
Or rights of the militia. I think it bestows individual rights, and I think that's what it needs to be protected. And the best place to sort these issues out is...
Well, you want to know what? This is being really, really weird and is not playing loud enough for me to actually use it. So I won't. Basically, he says stuff happens when it comes down to the election, or sorry, about the shooting. He is callous. It is a classic political gaffe. It is a dude who has been on the road for a long time, and probably is back to back and is having to come up with answers to very, very serious subjects while he is, in a very challenging position, schedule wise. He says something dumb. This is something dumb, something that will be used against him. Now, listen, this is part of the game. It is fair game for people to make fun of him for it or to draw draw lines and say, well, look, what a callous dickhead he is because he said stuff happens. That's fine. That's part of the game. But if Trump were still being Trump and had said something even more ridiculous, people wouldn't care about it so much. Now, this hasn't necessarily stuck to Jeb in the same kind of way that I thought it might have. And I don't know whether or not that's because Jeb is just not as viable as people might think, and maybe people just don't care about him because he's inoffensive, or because we're still kind of focusing on other people other than Jeb Bush. Because again, Jeb Bush is going to be here late into this. When there are 3 people on stage for the Republican primary, Jeb Bush will be one of them. So I don't know. I don't know whether or not the fact that people like, you know, the stuff happens thing was like a one-day story. I don't know if this is really going to stick to him like corporations are people or something like that. It doesn't seem like it, but it might. Meanwhile, the larger, more lengthy thing, and the sign again that the media is tired of Trump, is this piece by the Washington Post on Carly Fiorina. The headline by by Robert Samuels is Carly Fiorina's first political campaign had a surprising problem: money. This is a very, very, very worthwhile article to read. Number one, it just gives you kind of an idea on whether, or, you know, who Carly Fiorina is, and the fact that she's really a shooting star for the Republican Party. She only really stepped into politics during the Palin-McCain campaign as a California surrogate. She ran for governor, and then she ran for Senate. She failed both times. In the Senate race, which is what this article is about, she apparently was not a very good money manager. Now, I don't want to get into what this means and really what the article talks about. I think it's a very well-reported article. The only thing that I would guess is that I don't really know how unique this is. In fact, we got to get Dave Leventhal on. David Leventhal is I think it's ProPublica, one of the greatest reporters for looking at just hard nickels and dimes of campaign fundraising and campaign spending in the business. And I'm sure he'd be able to give us a better sense of how unique it is for a campaign, especially a Senate campaign. Although I guess these problems only get bigger the larger you run. For a campaign to not pay its bills, for a campaign to have people looking for money long after the last poll has closed. It's certainly an unsavory element of politics. It is a shitty element of politics, and Carly Fiorina should be judged for it. But I don't quite know exactly how odd this is, or how, I don't want to say newsworthy, because it is newsworthy for the Post to write about it. I just don't know how man bites dog it is. My guess is that most campaigns have a lot of these same problems. Very specifically, although most salaciously, we have the story of a pollster by the name of Joe Shumate. Or Shumate. Shumate? Joe Shumate. Don't know. We do know he's dead. He died 3 months before Election Day in 2010, and his last check for $30,000 did not go to his widow until fairly recently, a few months before Carly announcing she was going to run for president. The Post then puts in here, and this is where I think things get a little needly by the writer. Here, let's just read this article, or this paragraph. But records show there was something that Fiorina did not offer his widow. Shumate's last paycheck for at least $30,000. It was one of more than 30 invoices totaling $500,000 that the multimillionaire didn't settle, even as Fiorina reimbursed herself nearly $1.3 million she lent to the campaign. She finally cleared most of the balance in January, a few months before announcing her run for president. Now, when people say that there is a liberal or left-leaning bias in the media, there are a few words in this that I think they would point to. $500,000 that the multimillionaire didn't settle. That's important. That's a indicator that she is rich. She did not pay this money back. The only problem is that by using multimillionaire there, you are setting up the scenario that she is doing it via cruelty and not necessarily via accounting error, right? Even as Fiorina reimbursed herself nearly $1.3 million. That is another kind of loaded sentence because Fiorina reimbursed herself indicates that she was the key at the tiller of all of these transactions, and she took her money out first and then didn't care about it. Again, both of these elements of the sentence are indicative of a story where Carly Fiorina is callous, Carly Fiorina is rich, and Carly Fiorina just don't give a fuck about this dead person or other people that she owed money. Of course, this is all newsworthy and relevant because she is running as a political outsider whose great success for the country will be the fact that she was a CEO and she has managed gigantic budgets. Now, Carly Fiorina's business record is something that I think will eventually kind of get back to her because it's not great. She doesn't have a great business record. And stories like this seem to reinforce some of those problems. Ultimately, I think Carly's biggest issue is going to be the fact that in both of those campaigns, both her race for governor and her race for Senate, the more people saw her, the less people liked her. Now, again, she's young in this game. She's only run 3 campaigns. They were all very high profile. And now she's running for president. So it wouldn't be the most shocking thing on the planet if she got better. And she seems to be getting better now. But this stuff is rough for her. And it's, again, the problem with Trump fading. Because the more Trump fades, the more that a lot of media attention early in this race is going to settle more and more on candidates like Carly, like Jeb, like Marco Rubio. In fact, what we will see next, I'm going to go ahead and give you my prediction. We're going to see a story about Marco Rubio and his weird credit card thing when he was running for Senate in Florida. That was something that was a major issue when he was running in his first Senate campaign in Florida. It will come back as he continues to show himself to be a force in this race, which he is. In fact, if Jeb fades, Marco is the man. Marco Polo. We are going to see a serious motherfucking game of Marco Polo if Jeb continues to fade. And we will see a Washington Post, if not some other major national news outlet, talk about his weird credit card thing when he was in Florida. That will happen. Now, Trump going away is very, very sad. But it's not nearly as sad as our next thing. Because this is another prediction here, folks. Yeah. I mean, I can't even get... I mean, I can't even really put words to it, guys. I don't think Joe Biden's going to run. This is really sad for me. I've come to love Joe Biden as a political candidate over the years. He's amazing. He's ridiculous. He's a cartoon character. And yet he is among the most survivable governing animals, not political animals, which is a very important distinction. He can govern like a motherfucker. Like a motherfucker. Joe Biden can govern. He's not great at running political campaigns, and he's a liability every time he gets behind a mic. He is the quintessential home run hitter. When he's great, he is great. Tony the motherfucking Tiger, great. But when he strikes out, holy shit, is it embarrassing. Stories are out this week on Biden Watch that he is sounding more and more like a candidate, but also, and this is really what got to me, other reporting comes out that he might really just be, he's in a rough place right now. His son died. That's not an easy thing for anybody. And he might really just be enjoying the fact that a lot of people are coming to him and saying, you should run. So what does this really mean? Well, Joe Biden was at his most viable when Bernie Sanders was doing really, really well against Hillary Clinton, and Hillary couldn't seem to get out from under some of the email scandal and stuff like that. But again, as the temperatures get cooler, fall settles in, the turtlenecks come out, we are seeing an ascendancy of Hillary and a very slight cooling of Bernie Sanders. Now, it's not that Bernie's doing any worse than he was. It's just that Hillary doesn't seem to be floundering like she was a couple months ago. She's starting to really put her plan into motion. Biden was always going to be most politically viable if he were the establishment's life preserver for, if Hillary Clinton drowned again, like she did in 2008. Because they don't want to see, Bernie Sanders can't win. Bernie Sanders can't win in a general election against anybody but Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton can, and is polling over and above most of the Republican challengers as of now. And you've seen a bit of a stabilization in not only, McCarthy, who is possibly going to take over for Boehner, bragging about how much political damage they'd done to Hillary Clinton with the Benghazi hearing, which, listen, I got myself a lot of Benghazi questions. Here's my number one Benghazi question. It's not about anything that happened in Benghazi. It's hey, remember when we threw that lunatic who made that shitty movie in jail? Whatever happened to that dude? Remember when that was the thing? It's like, oh no, all these people were really, really, really upset because of movies some fucking lunatic made. Let's throw this lunatic in jail. Like, no, it's not to say that dude wasn't a racist and he wasn't a weirdo. He was, probably. But I will say that's my only Benghazi question. Anyway, we'll move on. Hillary came back and decided to get really forceful with the Benghazi thing. She does a very well-received and well-written Saturday Night Live appearance. And she has now found a renewed populist campaign refrain in gun control. The shootings that happened in Oregon, and we don't have to get into the specifics of it. She went hard on gun control in a televised town hall meeting on CNN this week. It looks like Hillary's kind of righted the ship. Bernie hasn't been able to pull ahead of her in Iowa. That would be a first big key change. And so now the question is, does Biden want to run with the idea being that he might weaken Hillary and would most likely lose? And I don't think it's going to happen. The one key sentence that really, really got to me in one of the articles I read about Joe Biden was that every time he pushes back a decision, you have your answer. He's not going to do it. Because if he was going to do it, he would have done it by now. The rumors are he's going to decide this week. No, he's going to decide next week. He's definitely going to skip the debate, whether or not he does it, which means he would be the big specter on stage. It's going to be interesting, but unless Hillary just totally eats her own butthole in the next week and a half, to the point where people are screaming at Joe Biden that he needs to run, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't. Yes, man, in the chat room. Yes, I'm selling Sanders short. People said the same about Obama. Sanders is very much in the game. Okay, fine. All right, sure. Sanders is in the game. And listen, I'm very much of the belief that Hillary could choke on this. And I even believe that Sanders could win the Democratic nomination. It's not insane to me that that would happen. However, let's just be real here. Because again, this is not a politics podcast about emotion. All right? It's not the politics podcast. Politics is singular. It is easy to say. It is there to be spread in an emotional way. This isn't the politics podcast, wherein we double down on such chicanery. No. This is the politics podcast. The 3 Ps signify a hard to say and hard to digest title of what is the meat grinder that we call democracy. So let's not fancy ourselves with who showed up to a rally. Let's be really real here, son. Look at the numbers. And with that, we get into oh shit. Get your singles ready, motherfucker. We're heading into the club. We're greasing the bouncer's palm. We are about to enter the pole dance! Making your way to the stage, it is your polling for Iowa. A primary that's technically not a primary and definitely doesn't fucking matter. Oh shit, pulling up the rear, and quite a rear it is. It's Chris Christie with a real clear politics average of 2%. He is bested very barely by John Kasich. I'm sure he puts the O in Ohio, ladies. Next thing you know, it's Rand Paul. He might have hair like a Brillo pad, but he's there because he's got a famous dad. It's 3.3% for Rand. You might be for or against him, but he's got 4% in the polls. It's Bobby Jindal. Followed by another master of the rump shaker. It is a former Iowa winner, Mr. I Heart Huckabee. He's 6.7 in the polls, but he's got that Bush for days. He might have just muffed a gun control argument, but he's still Jeb with an exclamation point, 6.7%. Marco Polo Rubio's at 7.7. Ted Cruz has got a high-pitched voice, and he's rising in the Iowa polls with 8.3%. Carly Fiorina, she might not be able to hold any possible financial restrictions, but she's got 10.3%, double digits for Carly. Ben Carson, 16.7%. The doctor is in, ladies. And your leader in Iowa, a primary that's not a primary and kind of doesn't fucking matter, it's Donald Trump. Let's go ahead on over to the champagne room, because it's getting a little bit more intimate over on the Democratic side. There's only a few options for you here. Remember to pay before you go in. And every time a new song hits, it's another $30. Lincoln Chaffee. He can't even muster a single percent. Sorry, bro, that's an impotent poll number. I don't even know what Webb's first name is, but it's 1.5% for him. He's 1.5 Webb until he gets over 2%. Martin O'Malley. He swears he's not Tommy Carcetti from The Wire. And he sure as hell doesn't have the poll numbers to match Tommy, so 3.3%. But now let's get a little sexy up here. We've got 3 leaders in the Democratic caucus in Iowa, and one of them is probably not even running. Joe Biden's got 15.3%. Bernie Sanders has 31%. And Hillary Clinton, you might know her as Val from Saturday Night Live. Come on, girl, take those glasses off. Rock it like only a gilf can. 37.3% for Hilda Thrill. So, here's the problem, is you have to believe, if you're a Bernie Sanders supporter, that Biden polling at 15.3% in Iowa is good for you, because you are polling away other establishment Democratic candidates, potential voters that don't want to vote for Clinton. If Biden announces that he's not going to run, Sanders is going to get his ass kicked in Iowa, because Biden voters are far more likely going to be Clinton voters than they are to be Sanders voters. So when people are like, oh, you're not giving Sanders a shot, this is why. Because if you believe, as I do, that Biden's not going to run, and again, man, I say that with no joy. Wait, hold on. No, hold on. There we go. I say that with no joy. I would love for Biden to run. This would make this podcast so much more interesting if Biden ran. But fuck, I don't think it's going to happen. And I think Sanders is going to get his ass kicked, because Sanders has been another amazing part of this election. Just don't feel it, you guys. I feel like this election went from really, really exciting to really, really boring. And I'm really annoyed by it. Because, fuck, come on, Joe! Joe! Christ, man! Why? What's wrong? What's wrong? Just run. What the fuck else are you gonna do? Sit around? Be vice president? If there's one thing shittier than being a lame duck president, it's being a lame duck vice president. Right? What are you gonna do? Walk around and pretend you like Hillary Clinton? Like, that would be so annoying. Because if you had any love for Hillary Clinton, you wouldn't even be thinking about running right now. So Clinton's up 6.3% in Iowa. It's a primary that's not a primary that probably doesn't fucking matter. And as soon as we get closer to New Hampshire, we'll start looking at those numbers. That's where if you're a Sanders supporter, you just like get a rock hard shit, right? You're like, oh fuck, Sanders in New Hampshire. It's another primary that kind of doesn't matter. If you win both, it matters. But if you win one and lose the other one, it kind of doesn't matter. So that's where we are. That's the pole dance. We are very early in this podcast. So I want to let everybody know that you can email us, justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. These are going to be the first 2 episodes that go up in the RSS feed. So we should have more emails this week for next episode as opposed to this episode, because we had one episode 0. This is the first official episode of the show. So we want emails. If you're unfamiliar with the Jury podcast, it is very email centric. I want this to be email centric as well. So go ahead and email in to justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. Put politics in the subject line so I can sort it out and I don't lose your email. We don't have any right now, but we do have one of the most amazing stories I have ever read, and I'm going to read it for you right now. The quote from BBC.com: Senate candidate in Florida admits drinking goat blood. For real. We continue. A Florida candidate for U.S. Senate has come under criticism after it emerged that he once killed a goat and drank its blood. Augustus Saul Invictus admits he sacrificed the animal as part of a pagan ritual, but it was not sadistic, as some critics have alleged. No, sir. This is one of those absolutely sane, by-the-book, law and order goat sacrifices. The Libertarian Party candidate is unlikely to win the seat. Here is again, when you talk about journalism and you talk about writing, this is a story that really should be lunatic running for office, because anybody can run for office, did something crazy. But instead, it's Senate candidate in Florida admits to drinking goat blood. Again, anybody can run for Senate. Anybody can run for president. There are many, many, many people running for president. Left Shark is running for president. Seriously. You can look up his filing. He's in Austin, Texas, apparently. D's Nuts is running for president, let alone a Senate candidate in Florida. He's running in the Libertarian Party, which is sure fucking committed to never having any national relevance. Adrian Wiley, the state's party chairman, has resigned to draw attention to Invictus' candidacy. In 2013, Invictus walked from Central Florida to the Mojave Desert and spent a week there fasting. When he returned to Florida, he killed the goat to give thanks. He says to the Associated Press, "I did sacrifice a goat. I know that's probably a quibble in the mind of most Americans. I sacrificed an animal to the god of the wilderness. Yes, I drank the goat's blood." Now, I'll tell you what, I actually kind of feel that this is a great thing. I mean, you talk about a quote machine. Here's what a quote machine is if you're a reporter. It's you want him to tell you things that you don't have to drag out of him. You are very excited if you are the Associated Press reporter that's talking to a man named Invictus who says, quote, "I sacrificed an animal to the god of the wilderness. Yes, I drank the goat's blood." That is pretty fucking amazing. If I were still registered to vote in Florida, I would pledge my support to Augustus Saul Invictus, who once walked to the Mojave Desert and then, to celebrate his survival, killed a goat and drank its blood. Which, I mean, how weird is that? No, never mind. I'm not going to defend it. That is really weird. Oh, Invictus. Invictus. When will you ever learn? That about brings us to the end of the Politics podcast. If you would like to write in, again, that is justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. By The Contender at thecontender.us. Now, I mentioned this before. We are going to do a big teardown of how we raised $142,000 on Kickstarter for this card game. If you're unfamiliar with the card game, it is a game of political debate. You get a bunch of cards in your hand, and you go around one by one for everybody playing, and you build your argument presidential debate style. All of the quotes are based on actual quotes said by real presidential candidates. You can go ahead and pre-order it at thecontender.us. They should start hitting shelves and start mailing out to everybody by November. It'll be there to you before Christmas, guaranteed. However, get on our mailing list, and you're going to get the whole teardown of how we raised $143,000, $142,000 on Kickstarter. It's a lot of lessons that we learned going into it, a lot of shit we tried that didn't work, a lot of stuff that worked that we did try, and a lot of stuff that just kind of happened in general, as well as the beginnings of why we decided to go with an American printer as opposed to a Chinese one. If you're into the maker stuff, if you're into the business stuff, this is definitely going to be something you're really interested in. So go sign up for our mailing list, thecontender.us. Our music for Politicsx is provided by Valesco and Trop Killers. Go ahead and Google them and find their work on SoundCloud and YouTube. And of course, you can follow me at Justin R. Young every single place that has a social media login. Twitter would probably be the best one for you, but Instagram, Snapchat, Periscope, the whole 9 yards. Come on and follow me.
Politics, 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 politics.
Till next time, my name is Justin Robert Young. This is the Politicsx podcast. We will see you next week.
Yes.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Boom. Boom. We done. We done.
Diamond Club.
Is the Dr. Bird running for president? No, Dr. Bird running mate bit not up to stuff. I figured it was kind of cheesy. No, we're going to get to the Dr. Bird stuff. I just kind of want to figure out, I'm still feeling out the flow of the show. So before we get into like super crazy Dr. Bird stuff, and also, oh yeah, we're still recording on YouTube. Bye, YouTube. So yeah, we will be doing a lot of the more silly stuff. I want to save some of the really silly stuff for when there isn't news, and there was some good news this week because of the Biden stuff, and I wanted to get my hot take about Biden not running in there. Video will be up on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/JustinRobertYoung. And Dr. Bird is running. He is running. But we're going to figure it out. So my email still may be good to go. Oh, shit. Well, did I not read that? I think I read that on episode 0, Waffleophagus. I think I did. Or I read some Dr. Bird email. I'll have to go back and look. If not, go ahead and send it again, just in case. JIC. Jick it up. That is it. I'm going to go take care of other business, but I will see you guys later. Shit. See y'all.
Pocket full of celery. Imagine what she's telling me. Blowing on asparagus.